it's Louisa with another video from my channel, Between Pages and Places. Today I'm going to go over the first 6 books that I read for 12 Books of Christmas. I was originally going to do like a vlog, and that just never happened because I did most of my reading at work, which is in a school building, and I just don't feel comfortable vlogging in my place of work. Like if I worked from home, it would be a different situation, but I don't, and I just never feel comfortable vlogging like in my school building, you know, it's just a personal preference. But I am going to review each one separately for the first 6. So the first one I read was The Forgotten Bookshop in Paris by Daisy Wood, which I have right here. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It is about, it's like a dual timeline. So the first one takes place in Paris, 1940, and the second one is modern day. So in 1940, war is closing in on the city of love. With his wife forced into hiding, Jacques must stand by and watch as the Nazis take away everything he holds dear. Everything except his last beacon of hope, his beloved bookshop, La Page Cachée. But when a young woman and her child knock on his door one night and beg for refuge, he knows his only option is to risk it all once more to save a life. Then you have modern day, which is Juliette and her husband have finally made it to France on the romantic getaway of her dreams. But as the days pass, all she discovers is quite how far they've grown apart. She's craving a new adventure, so when she happens across a tiny abandoned shop with a for sale sign in the window, it feels faded. She's about to learn that the forgotten bookshop hides a lot more than meets the eye. So like, you see what's happening in 1940 Paris, which is World War II, and you see like what happens to the shop in modern day because Juliette takes it over. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because I found the past parts, like the chapters of that took place in 1940, more interesting than the modern day. And I honestly found the modern day to be kind of like trivial and annoying. Like I understand she was trying to like build a life for herself in France and wanted to do something new, but I didn't feel like it added much to the story. Like you got to see what happens to the bookshop afterward, and like that's basically it. Like you really never find out. Like Juliette had a grandmother that lived in France. I feel like you don't really find out much about her. You know, and it kind of doesn't connect together. I feel like if the wife in 1940 was her grandmother, it'd feel different, but it wasn't. And it's just like, it felt like there was no purpose. I would just have rather like read the whole thing in 1940 about this Paris bookshop, to be honest. And that would have been fine. So that's why I kind of gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. And I mean, part of me is like, I didn't unhaul this in my last unhaul. Like, so I guess I'll just put it to the side, because I got it at Costco. Like, I thought it seemed interesting. Sometimes I'll go through Costco and be like, oh, I'm going to buy this book. And that happened to be one of these, and I just decided it was okay. 3 out of 5. It's average. The next book I read, I don't have anymore because I unhauled it, is My Life in France by Julia Child and Alex Prudhomme. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It is about Julia, and it actually is what a good chunk of Julie and Julia is about. Like a majority of Julia's part in that movie comes from this book, and I found it interesting to learn about Julia Child. I like the movie Julie and Julia, and I found it interesting to learn about Julia Child and her experience and her life and like how she became who she was. But again, it was just okay. Like, I kind of already knew about her life because of that movie, so nothing was like interesting or like, interesting, but like, wow, you know? And I guess I was looking for that. Again, it was like a whim buy. Like it was like a whim buy. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I'm gonna grab it and read it. But I don't think I'm ever gonna read it again. So I kind of unhauled it already. My next one was The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. I do have that one right here. I thought it was great. I gave it a 5 out of 5. You know, there was steaminess, there was like twists in there, and like slow burning love growth and war and like betrayal. So it is about Laura. Laura has only one thought for her husband on their wedding day: I will bring your kingdom to its knees. A princess trained from childhood to be a lethal spy, Lara knows that the Bridge Kingdom represents both legendary evil and legendary promise. The only route through a storm-ravaged world, the Bridge Kingdom controls all trade and travel between lands, allowing its ruler to enrich himself and deprive his enemies, including Lara's homeland. So when she is sent as a bride under the guise of fulfilling a treaty of peace, Lara is prepared to do whatever it takes to fracture the defenses of the impenetrable Bridge Kingdom. As she infiltrates her new home, a lush paradise surrounded by tempest seas, and comes to know her new husband, Aaron, Lara begins to question where the true evil resides. Around her, she sees a kingdom fighting for survival, and in Aaron, a man fiercely protective of his people. As her mission drives her to deeper understanding of the fight to possess the bridge, Lara finds the simmering attraction between her and Aaron impossible to ignore. Her goal nearly within reach, Lara will have to decide her own fate. Will she be the destroyer of a king or the savior of her people? So it's basically like to create this treaty, she is like sent off to be a bride, to this king named Aaron of this Bridge Kingdom who holds the control of a bridge that allows trade to happen. And people want to control this bridge so that, so that they can prosper. And she always thought that this kingdom withholds it from other kingdoms. And you find out that's not the case. They're also trying to survive at the same time. And as she starts to learn these things, she starts to kind of like become part of them. Like she starts to see them as her people, not just her husband's people and her enemy. And I thought it was so good. I thought the love between, like the growth and the relationship between Aaron and Lara was so good. The ending was so good. And I want to read the sequel because it was so good. Like, I was so happy I picked this up. Because, as I get older, I want a book with some steaminess, and this delivered that with still good plot. It's always important to have plot and steaminess. So I definitely recommend it. The next book I read for the 12 books of Christmas, I no longer have. And it is Women in White Coats, How the First Women Doctors Changed the World of Medicine by Olivia Campbell. And I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was another Costco buy. I thought, oh, this sounds interesting. I'm going to grab it. And it was interesting. I found it fascinating, like seeing how women became doctors back in the day when women weren't allowed to do a lot. And it was fascinating, but again, I'm not going to read it again. So I decided to unhaul it. I did like how the stories intertwined with each other because it wasn't just like one person and then another. Like they all band together, to accomplish this. And it was so important for them. And yes, it irked me to see that it was so difficult for them to even be able to enter a school that would teach them anything. And it's like women back then and even now don't feel comfortable sometimes going to male doctors because male doctors kind of just like say they're hysterical or it's like a woman problem and like it'll go away. Like they don't understand back then and kind of now. So it was always important to have women doctors that women were comfortable to go see. And that was what they were for those people. And I found that interesting. But again, it's like a history book, so I don't find myself wanting to read it again. So ultimately I unhauled it. The next one was The Last Heir to Blackwood Library by Hester Fox. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. It is about a girl named Ivy Radcliffe who becomes Lady Hayworth, an owner to an estate on the Yorkshire moors. Ivy has never heard of the Blackwood Abbey or the ancient bloodline from which she's descended. With nothing to keep her in London since losing her brother in the Great War, she rarely makes her way to her new home. The abbey is foreboding, the servants reserved and suspicious, but there is a treasure waiting behind locked doors, a magnificent library. Despite cryptic warnings from the staff, Ivy feels irresistibly drawn to its dusty shelves, where familiar works mingle with strange, esoteric text. And she senses something else in the library too, a presence that seems to have a will of its own. Rumors swirl in the village about the abbey's previous owners, about ghosts and curses and an enigmatic manuscript at the center of it all. And as events grow more sinister, it will be up to Ivy to uncover the library's mysteries in order to reclaim her own story before it vanishes forever. I thought it was really good. I thought finding out what the mystery was fun. the whole, like, you don't really get to know the very end until the very end. It just keep you waiting. But I thought the writing was very well done, and I was really, like, very curious the whole time and enthralled the whole time. The writing was easy to follow. It didn't feel very flowery or, like, over the top. And, you know, you had characters that you rooted for, and I rooted for Ivy, and, like, it was very interesting. And the whole time you're just like, what is going on? Which is what you want when you essentially read, like, a thrillerish kind of book. And that's what this was. So I definitely liked it. I did give it a 4 out of 5. The last book for the first 6 books of the 12 books of Christmas was The Maid by Nita Prose. Freaking love this book. It was 5 out of 5 stars. I had no idea what was going on until the end. I mean, I kind of did. Like, we know based on the back, like, the synopsis that Molly Gray, she works in a hotel as a cleaning lady. She's a maid. And, there's definitely, like, I'm assuming she's autistic. That is, like, what I got from the novel. You know, she's very smart, but she has, like, OCD tendencies, not very socially aware, doesn't get it when people are being, like, sarcastic. She thinks they're being literal. And so there were moments where I was like, oh my God, Molly, like, don't you get that, like, they're using you? And that is essentially what it is. Like, they used her to commit a crime, and she had no idea she was part of this crime. And it's basically her trying to figure out who committed the crime, how did they do it, how are they going to prove she's innocent? And I really enjoyed it. And I felt so bad for her because I was just like, you're all alone. You need some friends. And she does find friends. So it's very good that she ends up finding friends, that ends up helping her accomplish her goals in this book. And I know there's, like, a sequel called The Mystery Guest, and I can't wait to read it and find out how the story progresses because I felt like this one ended so beautifully. So, all right, those are the first 6 books of 12 books of Christmas. Reviews for you. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe down below. If you like this video or any other videos I have previously made, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!